In today's video, we're going to use simple words to count out proper rhythms in bagpipe melodies. Stay tuned. Well, hello everybody, I'm Willis Bagpiper, and on this channel I make videos to make you a stronger and more confident piper. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, commenting below with any thoughts you might have, and sharing this with any other pipers in your life. Also, I do give Skype lessons if you want more personalized instruction, but let's get on with the video. In the first part of the series, we broke down the basic simple time structure of many of our marches. In that first one, we dealt just with the 4/4 time signature and how to count it out. How to the whole notes, the half notes, the quarter notes, the eighth notes, and the 16th notes, and how to combine some of those 16th notes and eighth notes with dots and all that kind of stuff. There's a whole video on it, and it'll be linked in a card right up here. You should go check it out because it's kind of required viewing to move on with this step of the video. In the description below, there are links to downloadable PDFs of all of the things we're working on today. So go ahead, download those, get them printed out, or put them on an iPad, whatever you need to do so you can follow along. For the next step, I've applied this basic concept to the tune, The Brown-Haired Maiden. But I've taken all the embellishments out because for now, we're not going to be counting the embellishments. That'll be in a future volume, and I'll give you some tips on how I incorporate singing and speaking the embellishments into the music, but that's a step beyond what we're trying to do now. We're just trying to get the basic gist of the rhythm of the tune down solid and with a metronome. Two things I want to address real quick before we actually look at the music. If you notice at the top, it's now a 2/4 and not a 4/4. The only difference here is there's only 2 beats per bar or measure rather than 4. Why would you have different numbers of beats per bar? It gives the music a different feel. In a 2/4, you have a strong beat and then a weak beat, and then right back to a strong beat. In a 4/4, you have a strong beat to a weak beat to a medium to a weak. So it has a bit more kind of ebb and flow. We'll also be dealing with some 3/4s before this is done, and that's a strong beat to a weak beat to a weak beat to a strong beat to a weak beat to a weak beat. And again, you can feel that just has a very different feel than strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, weak. We use different time signatures just to give some variety to our music. We don't want everything to just feel the same. The second thing I want to talk about in Brown-Haired Maiden is how it starts. If you notice, it has what's called a pickup note, or an anacrusis if you want to be really technical. I'm going to go with pickup note. You see, there's just one dangling eighth note at the very top of the whole thing. If we look at the very end of the entire tune, though, you can see that you have one quarter note, so there's beat 1, and then you have another eighth note, which is only half of beat 2. The other half of beat 2 is actually at the top of the tune. So in properly written music, it should mathematically add up where the pickup note that's starting the whole tune is actually subtracted from the end of the whole thing. And why do we have pickup notes? Not everything starts just smartly on the down. A lot of tunes have a few notes to lead in before you have that strong downward pulse. If you think of, say, the Rowantree, bo da 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 da, the A isn't this first strong beat, it's that C, A, B, C. So in that case, you would have a full beat of pickup notes. For the Brown-Haired Maiden, bo bum ba da bum, bo bum. You can hear that D, that second note, the first note of bar 1, but the second note of the whole tune is actually where kind of that strong emphasis is. So in this case, we're going to actually start on the up of beat 2. So let's take a look at the tune real quick. I've already told you that first note is an and it's the second half of the end of the tune. So we have an and. Go into bar 1 now, the official bar 1. We have the downbeat is 1, and you can see that it's a pointed rhythm. So that 1 is going to go to an and not an and because we're holding it for 75% of the beat. Then we're on the Now we're on to beat 2, and this is even eighths, so now we are going to go to just an and. The next beat is beat 1, and it's a quarter note, so it's going to take the whole beat. Next beat is beat 2. We write it as a 2, and we can see it's a pointed rhythm again, so we have an leading us into the 1 of bar 3. And then bars 3 and 4 are all even eighth notes, so we have 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. In this next step, I'm just going to speak the rhythm. I'm not going to try to sing it yet. I'm just going to speak the rhythm with the metronome. Again, I have it set 65. It's at 2/4 now, not 4/4. See how it goes. And 1, a 2, and 1, 2, a 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. And just like that, you are already kind of internalizing the rhythm of the tune, and you're not even having to worry about the melody yet. If you feel comfortable just singing the notes as you see them, by all means, in the next step, I would try to sing the melody. For a lot of people, you might not know the tune yet. You might not have it in your head. You have an understanding of the rhythm now, but you might not know the notes. So this could be useful to get your practice chanter out. And if your embellishments are strong, by all means, play all the embellishments. I don't even have embellishments written here, so I'm just going to use some simple gracings, probably just at the very last bar between those E's to separate them, because otherwise we couldn't do it. But I'm just going to kind of play through the melody slowly and with some approximate rhythm. In this step, I'm not going to use the metronome. I could, but for many people, this is just to kind of get the gist of how the notes flow together. What I will say, try to use some approximate rhythm. And what I mean by approximate rhythm is if you're looking at the music and you're trying to play through it the first time, if it's a dotted note, go ahead and hold it longer. Don't feel like you have to be like on a super strict meter yet. That'll be the next step. And like that, I can start hearing the tune. Bum, bum, ba, bum, bum, bum. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum. I happen to know this tune. It's a classic tune. Many people know it. But if you didn't know the tune, it's useful to hear it a time or two on the chanter and kind of get a gist of it in your head. So for the next step, we're going to now go back to the ands, uhs, ones, all that stuff. But we're going to sing it. You don't have to sing it in front of other people, but I really think you should try singing it for yourself. I don't expect your voice to be operatic. I don't expect you to, we're not trying to take singing lessons here. That said, I've heard more than a few times from quite a few different players, if you can't sing it, you can't play it. It's easier ultimately to get your voice and face to deliver these rhythms and the music than it is the chanter. So now I'm going to go ahead and sing, and my lyrics are going to be the and, one, two, and all of that. But I'm going to sing the melody with the metronome and really try to get a sense of how the tune's being put together here. And 1, 2, and 1, 2, a 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and... So now let's take a look at the second line. One of the reasons I picked this tune is while it's a beginner level march, it has a snapped rhythm in it, which is super useful when we're kind of trying to put all of this together. A lot of our basic marches don't actually have snapped rhythms. There's none in Green Hills, there's none in a lot of different ones, but this one happens to have it, so we're going with this guy. So in line 2, we have a snapped rhythm right at the top. 1E, 1E. We know we're going to start short, go right to that E and hold it through the rest of the beat. Then we have 2 even eighths for 2 and. We have a quarter note for the full 1. We have a 2, so we have a pointed rhythm. Then we have another quarter note for 1 in bar 3 there of line 2. Then 2 even eighths, another quarter, and another eighth. So in this, you can see even bar 4 of line 2 has 1.5 beats because we have repeat signs. We're going to actually go back to the beginning and do it again. And so that math has to add up as well. Go ahead and turn this metronome back on. I'm going to sing through the whole first part with repeat using the written rhythm as the lyrics that I'll be singing. And 1, 2, and 1, 2, a 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1E, 2 and 1, 2, a 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, a 2 and 1, 2, a 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and 1E, 2 and 1, 2, a 1, 2 and 1, 2. And now you have the rhythm, you have the general melody, and you're starting to build it in your brain the way it should sound. Just playing through tunes repeatedly without a strong sense of rhythm can start building up bad habits in your head, and you might struggle down the line to fix some rhythmic problems that didn't have to happen. If you're a new piper, take a few minutes on every new tune and really sort out the rhythms. The rules I'm speaking about here work best with simple street marches. Competition style 2/4s and other types of music like 6/8s, which are in compound time, they're going to have different rules. There'll be different videos down the line. There'll be a card up here for all sorts of other stuff, I'm sure, when I get to that. If the tunes you have dotted 16th and 32nd notes, that's probably a step beyond what this is best at doing. This method is for tunes like Green Hills. It's for tunes like Battles Over, Wings, all these kind of tunes. Scott and the Brave almost all works, though the run at the end of line 1, a 1 and a 2, is actually a kind of a dot cut bunch of 16th notes. You can still use it, but you kind of have to modify it a little bit. So while this is super useful, it is a beginning tool for beginning level tunes. I find with most of my students, it doesn't take long for them working through tunes like this to start really internalizing these rhythms and not having to necessarily do this so much. There's only so many different combinations of rhythms that we run into in pipe music, and being able to readily decode them, say them, and even possibly sing them goes a long way to getting them in your noggin. Just for sake of completion, and for those that might want to actually even try to sing along, I'm now going to actually sing the entire tune top to bottom, including the repeat at the first part, just so you can join in if you want to. And 1, a 2, and 1, 2, a 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1 E, 2, and 1, 2, a 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, a 2, and 1, 2, a 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1 E, 2, and 1, 2, a 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1 E, 2, and 1, 2, a 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1 E, 2, and 1, 2, a 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1 E, 2, and 1, 2, a 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1, a 2, and 1, 2, a 1, 2, and 1, 2. On the next page, I have the classic setting for High Road to Gairloch. I included this one to show how it looks with all of the embellishments written in. Notice at this level of rhythmic competence, if you will, I am not trying to count the doublings or the throws or any of the ornaments or grace notes. I am just counting the big notes. There'll be other videos about how you can wrap your voice around all the embellishments in our music so that it sounds more or less like bagpipe music when you sing it. But again, that's a topic for another day. So again, we have a 2-4 right here. Almost everyone knows the melody here. We have a pointed rhythm to start. So we have a 1, a 2, and 1 and 2. Notice again, I did not count the doubling. I just counted the actual big note after the doubling. In the next bar, we have a rhythm we hadn't ran into yet. We have an 8th note to 2/16. We have 1 and a 2. It's not overly hard, but we hadn't addressed it. So I wanted to take a look at that right there. So it's 1 and a 2 and. And then we have 2 more even eighths to a quarter. Let's go ahead and talk out the High Road to Gairloch. And again, I'm just going to speak it this time. 1, a 2, and 1 and 2, 1 and a 2, and 1 and 2. I'm familiar with High Road to Gairloch, but I'm going to just play it out on the practice channel using some, again, approximate rhythm to try to get the melody in my head or in your head if you don't happen to know the tune. And notice, I didn't even try to play the embellishments. A lot of times, the very first time I'm playing through something, if it's very heavily ornamented, I may not play some of those ornaments. Again, I'm just trying to get the gist of the melody in my head so that I can hopefully maybe even sing some of the notes I'm seeing in front of me here. Now, for the sake of time, I'm going to turn the metronome on, and I'm going to sing the entirety of High Road to Gairloch, including the repeats, rather than doing the small individualized sections. But as you work through it, break it down into as small of parts as you need. It can be a bar or a measure at a time. It could be 2 bars at a time. It could be a line at a time. Do what you need to make it work for you and that you're not biting off more than you can chew. 1, a 2, and 1 and 2, 1 and a 2, and 1 and 2, 1, a 2, and 1 and 2, 1, a 2, and 1, 2, 1, a 2, and 1 and 2, 1 and a 2, and 1 and 2, 1, a 2, and 1 and 2, 1, a 2, and 1, 2, 1 and 2, a 1 and 2, 1, a 2, a 1 and 2, 1 and 2, a 1 and 2 and 1, a 2 and 1, 2, 1 and 2, a 1 and 2, 1, a 2, a 1 and 2, 1 and 2, a 1 and 2 and 1, a 2 and 1, 2. There we go. Highward to Gairloch. Sung. Feel free to sing along. I'm not trying to say I have the best voice and I'm not going to auto-tune it or anything. It is what it is. This is a learning tool. But it gives you the gist of the tune with the proper rhythm so that it starts developing in your head the way it needs to, so that when you start playing it, it has the right rhythm. Now finally, we have some 3/4s in another download. Now this, I have both a blank version of Green Hills of Tyrol and When the Battle's Over, and I also have a marked up version. What I would like from any of you guys that are learning this concept for the first time, I want you to try to fill out as best you can the Green Hills and Battle is Over with the 1 and E stuff, and see if you're right. You can go and then look at the next page and check your work. Remember, the point of all of this is to give you a set of tools that you can use to get the proper rhythm for the basic entry-level tunes that most pipers all begin learning. I did want to address really quick, there are a few different ways to write 3/4s. Most of the time, they're not quite written correctly, but that's another topic for another day. In this, you can see we have a full beat of pickup. So I'm going to give you right now just a hint that that first A at the very top of Green Hills, and again the very top of Battle is Over, that is actually a 3. If we look at the last bar of the tune, you can see 1 quarter note, 2 quarter notes, but this is in 3/4, so there should be 3. That full 3rd quarter note is starting the tune. A lot of times in 3/4s, they write this A on the 1 rather than the 3, and that's fine. Do whatever your version of the music does. For my version, the way my pipe band plays it, we actually start on the right foot with that A, coming down to the 1 on the left foot. So when we strike in as a band, we actually only play a 1 count E after the drones, and then we go into the A so that we land on that first C on the beat where the true down of that 3/4 is. E bo da bum did it do dum bum ba da dee da dee ba. So the heavy beat in a 3/4 in this case is falling on the C. It's a little bit more than you need to know, but you might see different versions. I wanted to discuss it just real quick. So at the top, that's going to be 3 We see it's a pointed rhythm, so we know it's going to have an Every pointed rhythm is going to have that number of the beat and an And then the next one is the down. That's going to be a 1. And then from there, I want you to work it out. All right, guys, there's probably more than you ever wanted to know about basic rhythms in bagpipe music. Again, we only have 2 tools at our disposal when we're making pipe music. We can change our pitch and we can change our rhythm, which again is how long and short we're holding notes against a steady beat. So a metronome is crucial. This is the tempo app, but there's a ton of metronomes out there. They all work fine. So whenever I'm learning a new tune, I apply an awful lot of what I'm dealing with here because I want to make sure that I'm getting that rhythm correct in my head from the very start of playing the tune. The fewer bad habits we have to unlearn, the better. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you got something out of this, please like the video, comment below with any thoughts you have, subscribe to the channel, and share this with any other pipers that might need a little bit of rhythmic help with their melodies. If you want to go the extra mile, you could head over to my Patreon, where a small monthly donation goes a long way to helping support the channel. And I do give Skype lessons if you want more personalized instruction. Head over to www.mattpiper.com. Information on how to get in touch with me is there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Matt Willis Bagpiper, and until next time, cheers.